Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. And today I have Dr. Jay Wiles, who will be joining me on the STEM Excellence podcast. My name is Amos Tarfa. I'm a medical physicist and math curriculum writer. And I've used Berean builders with students for years, and I love it. And I told Dr. Wiles at the conference in Texas that I would love to do a podcast. So he's here today. I'm going to have him introduce himself in a second. But this podcast is mostly watched by homeschoolers and people who are trying to provide high quality math and science education to their children. So Dr. Wiles, who is Dr. Wiles?
Well, I'm Jay Weil. I got a PhD in nuclear chemistry, and I actually did some nuclear medicine stuff. So I guess we have something in common.
Yes.
I did some clinical trials with shooting protons in people's brains to kill tumors.
Yes. Wow.
And also when I was in university, I actually did calculations to determine how long nurses could stay in the room with people who had just drank the radioactive iodine for their thyroid.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, I've done a little bit of that, but my main focus is fundamental research. So I was actually looking at how protons and neutrons give up a little bit of themselves to become part of the nucleus and how that works out. And so that was what my PhD research was in, and that's what I concentrated on when I was a active professor and researcher. I spent 6 years teaching at university as an assistant professor, and while I was at Ball State University, which is a university in Muncie, Indiana, I started running into home educated students. Now, at the time, I didn't know anything about home educated students, but they turned out to be my very best students. And so I was interested in that mostly because, I'd never experienced. I remember the first time that a student asked or was talking to me about this, and he was my top chemistry student that year. And when I learned that his mother had essentially taught him, I said, "So she's a nuclear physicist then?" And he said, "No, she never went to college."
Wow.
Yeah, she provided me my best student that year. So I actually got interested in working with homeschoolers just because I wanted more of them to come to Ball State University.
Oh.
But pretty soon I started writing curriculum, and that was pretty well received in the homeschooling community. And I found that I really do feel like I was doing more effective science education writing homeschool curriculum than I did as a university professor. So I went full time doing homeschool curriculum for many, many years. But after my homeschool curriculum got more established and so forth, I did go back to teaching at the university level. So right now I'm doing a little bit of both, a little bit of curriculum writing and a little bit of teaching.
Wow. And how long have you written curriculum? And a lot of people know you from Apologia and some of the work you did there. How long have you been involved with curriculum?
So I've been writing curriculum since 1994.
Okay.
So I've seen in the US huge changes in the homeschooling community and what homeschooling parents are like now compared to where they were when we started and so forth.
Wow. That was when I was in first grade, by the way, not to make you feel old, but I was just figuring out what life was about. Okay, wow, that is amazing. I was actually, so quick side tangent, because this might tie into our conversation later on.
Sure.
When I was in first grade, I went to school in Lagos, Nigeria, which people might know. Lagos, Nigeria is the most populated city. I mean, one of the most populated cities in Africa. And I moved from the northern part of the country to the southern part of the country. And it was during these years that I was blessed to have a very good science teacher. And my passion for science and mathematics led me to the science club. And I ended up becoming the, at the end of the school year, I would have to give a presentation where I would tell people the scientific names of different plants and things. That was what I used to do for fun in fifth grade. So that's what I did. I ended up doing a lot of math and science, and I loved it right from that age. So anyways, when you talk about 1994, it brings back memories. The reason why I bring this up, sir, is that I really believe that your approach, which we're going to talk about here shortly about science history, I believe that more children, even in Africa, could benefit from some of this strategy that you use. Because if I was exposed to Berean builders as a first grader, like I might have won the Nobel Prize at this point, and so I really appreciate the work you're doing. But I'm just saying that as we're talking, I'm actually honestly in real time thinking a little bit about, wow, I wonder what can how Biriam Builders fits in with that Nigerian ecosystem as an
Mm.
enrichment to help more children learn the history of science. So that leads
Right.
me to one of the core topics today, and then we could go back to anything else, which is why did you write the Science in the Beginning series with the history of science embedded, and what have you noticed over time with the reception of it?
Well, actually, I kind of came about it in a roundabout way. I wrote Science in the Beginning specifically as a favor to a curriculum company in the U.S. called My Father's World, and they put together books and so forth, and they basically make a syllabus for you and everything. And they had a book called Science in the Days of Creation that was going out of print. And they wouldn't be able to get it anymore. And so they asked me, would you consider writing something like that?
Yes.
And so I had some time, and I hadn't really done elementary before. So I said, sure, I will give that a try. And so that's where Science in the Beginning is. It's the 6 creative days of Genesis and learning a little bit about what was made in each day and so forth. And when I got to the end, I thought, well, I have really enjoyed this because one thing we do in this curriculum is we have hands-on activities for every lesson. My wife's a physics major, got her master's degree in library science, but so she would help me with a lot of the experiments, and so it was fun working with my wife, coming up with these crazy experiments that she can do at home and so forth. And so when I got done, I thought, well, I should just continue because we've now reached the beginning of human history. After the 6th day, we got the beginning of human history. Why don't I just start from there and see what happens? And I wasn't really sure whether it would work or not. But part of it is, as I learned as I was going through this, a lot of what I was told about science history when I went to university for science was wrong.
Wow.
So I had to, I found myself, I had to read portions of all of these great writers because the historians disagreed on what they said, which is crazy because it's all right there.
Yes.
But
wow.
so anyway, I found I continued enjoying working with my wife on all these experiments, but also reading, all of this early work in science was really fascinating.
Wow.
And so that kept me interested. And I thought, if this is keeping me interested, I would think it would keep a lot of people interested if, I did it the right way.
Correct.
So that's, because honestly, you probably know this as well. As a scientist, you're focused on your stuff, and you find your stuff incredibly exciting. You don't find a lot of the rest of science exciting, but I found it really exciting reading it from that perspective.
Wow. That's really fascinating. And I want to encourage families to really, really step back and ask that question of think about if you tell your child, here is this concept without any context or any stories or anything, and you tell them who's behind it, just think about that can play a huge role. And I think one of the ways, maybe this is an indirect implication of your work, sir, is that maybe somebody might get inspired to go into science because of the story they read about the person. And
I've certainly gotten emails from students saying that.
Wow.
That they became interested in science.
Thank you for watching that part of the video. For the full video, go to our YouTube channel, Counting to Calculus, and subscribe while you're there. Thanks again for watching, and thank you to Dr. Wiles for the wonderful interview. Parents, if you want to raise top scientists, you need to teach them the historical context that gave rise to the concepts. And that's part of what he does in his curriculum in Biriam Builders. My name is Amos Tarfa. I look forward to talking to you more. Our Counting to Calculus program now has live classes that you can sign up for. So just visit countingtocalculus.org. Put in your information to get more information, and I'll send you more information about our program, which provides you with pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, pre-calc, calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3, any math course. We're here to cover that with you. Take care and have a blessed day.